episode of Fireside Chats. Today our topic is snacking, since we're doing our stay at home right now with the COVID-19 virus. So a couple of first thing we're going to start with is just, why do I feel the urge to snack and eat more even though I'm actually moving less when I'm stuck at home?
Yeah, boredom in a sense. So, you probably find yourself a lot going to the fridge and just opening up and staring. Like, I'm not hungry at all, but my mind's trying to figure out something to do to keep it from being bored. There's only so much Netflix and stuff you can watch before your mind is like, this is enough. So that's pretty much what's happening right now. It's more of a boredom thing, which the cool part is it is a boredom thing. So boredom things can be corrected. It's not a craving. It might feel like a craving, but it's not. It's not a craving. It's nothing that physiology we need. It's just like something we have to control those moments. We have to be in control during that time. When we see ourselves open the fridge, like, I know it's not time to eat. I need to close that door.
So it's almost like putting a lock on it, so you don't put it in.
Yeah.
It opens at certain times.
I mean, the best part, yeah. So that would be my best advice for like how to control, like how do I be able to start to control that, is setting up times of eating. So like during this time, because you can literally eat anytime. Usually in a normal work schedule, you'll have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you're stuck at work, so you really don't have any other times for that. Well, you need to be very religious on those during this time. So saying, okay, I'm going to eat breakfast, because let's say you can get up and start work whenever. So I'm going to eat breakfast before I start thinking, this is the time I'm going to do it at 7:30 every day. So it's creating that routine. Then I'm not going to eat again until whenever your lunch break normally is. I'm going to do my lunch break. Then I'm going to have maybe a snack and my dinner. And then after dinner, I'm going to brush my teeth and I'm going to stop. Because like I need to put those limits. I got to put those things in my brain so that I won't be going, if I go towards that, I know, okay, I'm not supposed to be eating right now. I'm not really hungry. It's not set up in my plan to eat right now.
Say sometimes like my urge might be like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so I haven't eaten that dinner and brushed my teeth. How can I combat the urges to, go for something sweet?
So probably many different ways. A quick one would be, I think gum is a great way to use. So using gum, having it by your desk, and like especially a wintergreen or spearmint, because it gives you a very powerful flavor, or cinnamon, a very powerful flavor, and it kind of reduces those desires. Also probably looking at your water and seeing how often you're drinking water through the day. So drinking a big thing of water at that time. Implementing a fitness habit is great at that time too. So like whenever you get those desires, okay, I'm going to do 10 burpees or I'm going to do 50 push-ups. So what you do is you stop for that moment, you go do something active, your brain starts to re-trigger, because it's just setting triggers. It starts to re-trigger, whenever I have this, then I'm going to do this. And so what you do is you start to put those in place, and eventually what it does is it kind of starts to replace that craving, that 2 or 3 o'clock feeling, which is probably the most time of boredom. You put something else in place. That, okay, I'm going to do 5 minutes of activity, because it's going to take you 5 minutes to go make something anyway. So it's like, I can stop for 5 minutes and do that. Maybe do a stretching routine. So putting something in place of that, gum is a great way to do that. Water or some type of fitness routine is a great way to kind of force yourself. Another thing that I've had advice from nutrition coaches in the past is brushing your teeth is one of the best things. So you could actually do an extra brushing your teeth instead of twice a day, 3 times a day now. And you do brush your teeth during that time. What it does is it forces and triggers your brain. Your brain already knows, after I brush my teeth, I'm not going to eat. Right? So it's already a natural trigger for you.
What would you say to people who have a little bit of a hunger issue, maybe in the middle of the afternoon, where they have a little of hunger, they're not quite ready yet to eat dinner servings yet? What kind of snacks would you recommend then, the first steps towards eating healthier snacks?
My first recommendation is probably don't eat if you can get away with it. So starting to train yourself to those times, because my question would probably be, are you really hungry or is it boredom? And that's the thing we don't know it's hard to gauge right now. But if you did choose it, we can put healthy snacks in place during this time to help us out. But like again, the first step would be trying not to do it and try to stick to a schedule. Second step would be finding healthy snacks. So we're going to look at just our normal vegetables, right? Mm-hmm. Having vegetables, fruits available during this time, having those pre-cut up and in the fridge ready to go so that you're instantly going to grab them. I would avoid nuts at this time, because nuts happen to be something that we can over-calorie intake quite a bit. Even though they're a great snack, even portioned out, they're a great snack, but it's a great snack at work when you can portion it out because you've taken it to work and you can't go get in that jar again. Okay. But at home, it's probably not the best thing because there's so many calories. It's so calorie dense. So I would probably not be getting a lot of nuts during this time and use it in over snacking on those, or seeds as well. Fruits and vegetables are going to be awesome. Having just some meat is always good there. Having pre-cooked meat that you can go ahead and eat. Yogurts can be okay. Anything that you can. The main thing that you choose if we're looking for healthy is like, is it something that has some fiber in it? Is it something that can be filling, right? Mm-hmm. Some foods you can eat and they're not very filling, right? So like a protein bar. Protein bars are awesome as a substitute, but a lot of times they're not really filling. They're just like kind of like kick you in gear and want you to eat more.
Almost making you more hungry.
Yeah. So like it's probably not a great substance. So what's this going to make you filling? Can you eat a big giant carrot? Because by the time you get down to the full carrot, takes 4 or 5 minutes to eat the carrot. And by the time you're done, the brain triggers off already. So something that can take you a little bit longer to eat and get you, because all you're trying to do is hold over. We're not trying to, like, we probably haven't burnt enough calories right now during a day to need the calorie intake. So all we're trying to do is like get past that like hunger feeling. So if we can get something in place to help us, like, just, can I get myself to dinner? I just need something in place to get to dinner. So that's what we need to keep the calorie intake very low on that. I know for right now on my Whoop band, which is tracking my calories, is normally I burn about 4,000 calories in a day. And even though I'm doing 2 workouts in a day, I'm still only burning like 3,200 calories a day doing 2 workouts a day, because we're just moving so much less than we normally would move.
All right. That's some good stuff there. What habit would you recommend people who, aren't at the best right now with the structure in their terms of like eating at certain times? What would you recommend more? Like, they got meal planning, you have meal prepping, you have portion controls. What would you recommend the most right now?
I think meal planning, at least for me, has always been the best, because so meal planning is the idea of writing out on a sheet of paper, right? Write on a sheet of paper what you're going to have at each time of the day. So even if you don't have the meal prepped, you can at least look at that and be like, oh, I'm supposed to be having this. So it instantly tells your brain, like, these are what I'm supposed to be having, so you have a plan in place. That's probably step number 1. I like to actually take that and put it in MyFitnessPal so that I already have it clocked out. It kind of tells me roughly I'm in my calorie range as well. But that tells me what, even if I don't have the food pre-prepped, I know. Option number 2 is prepping. So what we're looking for on prepping is so we did meal planning, so we're looking for how to get that food in place, right? So we want to make sure that we just cut up our vegetables, we cut up our fruits, we actually pre-prep the meal as much as possible, have the meat cut. So our goal there is to make it so we have the plan, now we have the stuff done. So we have step 1, step 2 in place, so that helps us be able to make those good habits during this time. And our goal is to create as many positive habits, so when we go to snack, if we have the plan, we have the food prepped in place. And food prepping doesn't have to be done, especially at this time. You might have more time to food prep than normal. It doesn't have to be all done on a Sunday. But just try to pick out, like, okay, I'm going to do my food prepping at a certain time of day every day, or I'm going to do my food prepping maybe a couple days a week. And it don't have to be, for me on Sundays, it takes me about an hour to food prep, and then I do food prepping on Wednesdays as well. So like maybe an hour, so it's 2 hours a week, split up between 2 times. You have to add grocery shopping in there as well, which is prepping, but those kind of things kind of helps you. And to be honest, like, having a plan in place during this time is great, because then you actually know when you go to the grocery store what to get. And then you don't have to go to the grocery store that often either. So you're not sitting there like, okay, what am I going to the grocery store for? You actually know what you need to go to the grocery store for. So those are kind of our 2 habits, I think. Meal planning and meal prepping will kind of get you a long ways.
And there you have it. If you don't plan, you plan to fail. So we talked a little bit about substituting with food and stuff, but right now some people are substituting more with alcohol. They're adding alcohol into their diets more. Talk to them a little bit about how they can help manage their drinking.
Yeah, I mean, alcohol is great for many different purposes. During this time, though, like, we have to be a little more conscious with our alcohol in consumption. And it really has nothing to do with the fact that you're drinking on your own and those public sides of that. It's more to do with that. It has more to do with the side of like how many calories we're adding in, right? So if we're drinking every night, depending on what type you're drinking, from wines to beers and stuff, it's 80 calories extra to 400 calories extra or more, right, per serving. So some wines can be up to 320 calories per serving, and 3 ounces is a serving. So if you have a glass full, that's probably 4 ounces. So that's a lot of calorie intake. Now, not all wines are that. A lot of wines are a lot lower. Beers can be pretty, especially if it's an IPA, it's going to have more calories in it. So different things like this. You got to be careful about how much you're consuming, because they're added calories that you really didn't think about. It's also negatively affecting your ability to sleep well. So if we're not sleeping as well because we have the alcohol in our body, and our body doesn't sleep, studies have shown that our body doesn't sleep as well with alcohol in our system than it does without alcohol in our system. So if we're doing that nightly, we're already reducing the amount of our sleep. People are using it for a stress reliever, but they're reducing their ability to sleep well. They're also probably possibly putting weight on during it, right? So it's not really that big of a stress reliever. And then, you're already doing like binge watching TV, which is like a de-stressor. So then you add alcohol on top of that. Well, you don't really need 2 distressors. You only need 1 distressor, right? So like you could simply replace that with journaling. You could do reading during that time. Take a bath. I don't know what other people do with their free time. But like things of that nature. Go out for a walk is a great way at night to kind of let your body calm down. Use those as de-stressors instead of using alcohol. Alcohol is great on weekends, totally fine. But you just don't want to become a crutch for you, as is something during this time that can really add a negative impact to probably your mental health as well. If we're drinking too often, there's a lot of negatives that can come from that as well.
Well, there you have it, guys. We covered the topic of snacking, not only with food, but also with alcohol, and some ways to battle that. So, quick summary, we talked about how to battle the urge. Number one way is to actually not eat anything. Try to do something physical. We talked about a good plan to have in place. The number one habit we recommend is meal planning. And then try to find other ways to relieve stress outside of drinking alcohol, at least the extra alcohol that you normally wouldn't have. It's Nathan and Trevor, signing off.
Have a great day, guys.